Shalom, Hebrews. This is a message from the Israelite Brotherhood. Alright, Hebrews, the reason that, I'm going into this video is because, man, I had got into a discussion with an Israelite, and, when you talking about Almighty Yah, a lot of Israelites got different understandings, the Almighty Yah in the scriptures, and a lot of Israelites think that Almighty Yah is some invisible force or spirit, and that's cool, but because he all that, but it's a little more technical than that, and you have to really understand Tanakh history and understand us Israelites, and our purpose, and then it kind of like start to become clear, but we have to understand first of all that our whole heritage fell into the hands of the Babylonian scribes, who are responsible for God's history. A whole bunch of gods, the God Son's history, the fallen angelic beings history. Whenever you run across God Son worship, and somebody believing that a God Son got some authority to do anything, that's going to be a creation that they created long time in Babylon and in Mesopotamia, and it was in the Americas too, man. They had demigod worship everywhere, and unfortunately Israelites are caught up in demigod worship right now in captivity, which can be expected, because if you in captivity and you basically don't have a choice, and then you took from your original heritage, or some kind of way you lose it, and then your enemy's gonna put their doctrine and they spin on your beliefs and stuff. And a lot of Israelites are still suffering from us being given demigod worship, God Son worship in the slavery days. Unfortunately the Israelites are still attached to that, because if they read and understood Tanakh history, and it's an abundance of information, that they will see that our ancestors never did any God Son worship, and that how Israelites are boozled and fooled and tricked into thinking that the one verse in Prophet Isaiah that was talking about King Ahaz problems and so forth, and how Prophet Isaiah was dealing with him, and how his sons would be used for signs and so forth, and how Israelites mistook that and then try to justify God's Son worship that the slave owners gave us, and that our slave owners children enforce and stuff. They give you all kind of breaks and so forth, for believing in God's Son worship. Even Israelites would be even willing to help you if you believe in God's Son worship and so forth. Demigod worship. It's demigod worship. Man, if you believe in demigod worship, they willing to help you. Alright, Israelites, this is what I want to show in the Tanakh, how Almighty Yah is physical, and that how he put his spiritual entity in us when he, breathed his breath in the first creation, and that, that Almighty Yah is real, and that how, because our history, which was the truth, fell into the hands of the Babylonian scribes, that the earth got a distortion of what Almighty Yah is, and the purpose of the Israelites. And man, it's awful, because the world is suffering right now today because of the lack of truth and so forth. But I want to show that Almighty Yah is physical, and that it's a heavenly host, and that, you know, our enemies is terrified, man. They got so many observations on every hill and mountain in every nation, and with satellites and everything, thousands of satellites in the sky monitoring the heavens in, in the skies. Now, why would they be doing that? Why would they be monitoring the heavens in the skies and so forth? You know what I'm saying? And it probably took a little while to for them to get to the stage that they can, you know, go in outer space. You know what I'm saying? And that, how did that knowledge always been in the Tanakh? You know, about other planets and so forth, and about the heavenly hosts. Man, we had contact with the Creator, and that's how I'm explaining that He's physical, because ain't no spirit, floating air, ghost, gave us no knowledge or created us, and how it was a physical entity that did us. But you know, like I said about the heavens, man, they say that it's billions of planets, billions of habitable planets that you know humans can live on. They got oxygen and so forth. You know, if you watch a lot of space or NASA videos and so forth, explaining, you know, they so-called discoveries. And I want to tell you Israelites this: you can't believe nothing NASA say. Nothing. Man, NASA is there to cover up the truth about the heavenly hosts that they encounter all the time. And then why we Israelites just ain't, you know, running into the heavenly hosts, because we ain't going in and out, in the heavens and so forth. You know, all this showing that there's something physical going on, you know, but because they looking for physical objects, you know, that they basically see. And I'm going to explain how we Israelites already explained that it was, you know, a heavenly host or other life forms, you know what I'm saying, in the heavens and so forth. You know, and the reason that we lost this knowledge, it go back to those Babylonian scribes. And those Babylonian scribes got infused with the serpent. Yes. Yes, the Babylonian scribes got infused with the serpents. I got plenty of videos explaining the Nephilim's association with the Amorites and so forth. And then, you know, it basically explained everything if you understand that. I mean, if you understand that, I show how the Amorites are the descendants are mixed in with the Nephilims, and kind of like somewhat they descendants and so forth. And then how that, you know, they got the ambition to go off into the heavens and stuff, you know. And then I explain how this Amorite culture that we Israelites are in bondage in come from the Amorites that, you know, left Babylon and went to the promised land, and then, you know, went over into Spain, and you know, and then went to the Americas. You know, I done traced them from Babylon, the Amir families. You know, I done traced them from Babylon to the promised land, and that they was Amorites already, and that they went from, you know, from the promised land to Spain, across North Africa to Spain, and then over to the Americas that they was already familiar with, because they was infused with the Phoenicians and so forth, and other folks that sailed around. And this is also what I want to explain, Israelites, is that serpent culture was here in America. The serpent worship, and the serpent's descendants, wherever the serpent, wherever the serpent symbol is, the serpent worship, that's gonna be his descendants. That's gonna be his descendants. Sorry to say, this gonna hurt a lot of Israelites that believe that, you know, folks from these parts are part of the transatlantic are Israelites, and that are not part of the transatlantic slave trades, or are not descended from them. But the serpent culture and so forth that was in the Americas gonna go to that serpent that was in the Bible. And then what I didn't piece together is that when the serpent was created, now when the serpent was created, that old serpent had to dig for gold and stuff, dig for gold and do some work, and was working for the creator in the heavenly host for a long time. And Almighty Yah created us meant to be the overseers. And then how did we stay overseers is that we do a law that he was giving us. Now Adam gonna know a law, and probably orally all the way meant to Seth is gonna be orally, and they knew, and then it's gonna get wrote down during the time of prophet our father Jacob, who had a contact with the heavenly hosts. You know what I'm saying? That they say Almighty Yah, and then how that his descendants would get the law. You know what I'm saying? The written law, and that written law was to save the earth from being destroyed, basically like it is now. You know, because the Israelites, men are not into heritage and governing the earth and being the priestly nation that Almighty Yah created us meant to be. That, you know what I'm saying, that the earth is being tore up and being destroyed. And that's what I want to explain, how the serpent goal is to create a wicked planet and leave it before Yah end it. Now, that's going to go back to the physical thing. Is that in the physical and the spiritual thing is that Israelites say, well, Almighty Yah, spiritual, and you know what I'm saying, he's here now and he's here with us. And I want to show that consequently to our actions of being tricked by God's son worship, that we was, broke the covenant, and then that allowed the serpent folks to get about and get strong and deceive the earth. You know what I'm saying? Because we Israelites had the original truth. We had, different problems at different times throughout, you know what I'm saying, our existence, you know what I'm saying, from Adam on down. We know that Cain killed Abel, and that, Seth and so forth would replace Abel, and then called on the creator, and then from then on down, Almighty Yah was keeping up, you know what I'm saying, with that line, with the serpent, and then got lost, and you know what I'm saying, after the flood, man, he done got lost and dispersed, and that the serpent pulled all kind of slick moves to get out of bondage. He's a knowledgeable person, unto my real knowledgeable, and I can show that when Cain killed his brother Abel, and Almighty Yah cast him out of safety, that how he went to Nod. You know what I'm saying? The land of Nod. That's gonna be where the serpent, and you know what I'm saying, his folks at that got the gold. You know what I'm saying, for Almighty Yah. You know what I'm saying? That was the serpent original purpose, and it makes sense to create some human-like people that can go down in the ground and stay down in the ground. And then we know right now today that that's our enemy's main spot, is to be down in the ground and in the earth, and how they got all kind of secret bases underground and all kind of stuff, and they ain't no telling what's going on underground and stuff. But it's the same people, so we already know. But they was to dig for gold. Gold, yes, gold. You know what I'm talking about? They was supposed to get that gold, man, for Almighty Yah. And the Tanakh kind of give you hints of this, that the serpent was around before Adam was created, and the serpent ain't trying to be favorable to Almighty Yah by being deceitful and telling our mother Eve to eat something she ain't supposed to, an intoxicating plant that altered their mentality and so forth, and then how he was being deceitful. So, and then after that, you know, we lost our authority over him, and that how Almighty Yah already had a plan in place that if you don't do his law, that serpent that he created, that the folks was everywhere, the serpent worship everywhere. All them cultures got serpent worship that you gonna run across them. I mean, it's a whole bunch of them. He flooded the earth one time because they got real wicked and so forth, and the fallen angelic beings come down and mix with them, and I guess they was overseeing, and that how did they mix with the human population? It's gonna be them too, you know what I'm saying? What they gonna mostly mix with, and then how Cain descendants had mixed with them, so that they got some human like what I'm saying, they got human features and stuff, you know what I'm saying? But how did those serpents was everywhere, and that once we lost, broke the covenant, and that man, them serpents was gonna rise up, rise up, and the serpent culture was gonna devour the earth, and that they whole purpose here was to dig for gold and stuff. And you see what nations be fighting about and what it's really about. They done trick the folks with the paper and so forth, but that be temporarily. But this is what they be fighting for, and it started out with the serpents, with the serpents having to dig for the gold and stuff, and then we Israelites, not doing the covenant, you know what I'm saying, gave them the power to be, wicked like they are now, and then consume the earth. But that if we had did the covenant, that what I'm saying, everything would be under control and so forth, and that the earth wouldn't, be getting destroyed and so forth. And then all this show that Almighty Yah is physical, because all this is physical happening right here, man. You got to be physical, man, to even acknowledge some gold, to even want some gold, and that ain't no spirit design, no gold, and how this is a physical need. All right, let's look into Tanakh. And then, man, I pray I'm making sense to you Israelites, because it's a lot of information, involved in this, that I'm just trying to compact it. And I can make about 3-4 videos, you know what I'm saying, about this, but I'm trying to compact it. And I know that it's some brilliant Israelites that's been studying with the Israelite Brotherhood family, and that y'all capable of understanding what's going on. You know what I'm saying? All right. And then we see that Almighty Yah in the beginning created heaven and earth. So, what I'm saying, that's the satellites and the moon and so forth. You know what I'm saying? It's like one dude said, well, where the moon come from? And look, and Yah made two great lights. Two great lights. Look, and then I've been watching a space program, where they telling you that the moon is a satellite, and that it was put there, and that it, for some kind of reason, they can't explain how it got there, and that it was a time that the moon wasn't around and so forth. And then they say that, that's a time that, I believe when the serpents was, what I'm saying, had to do their work, and so forth. But they can almost prove that the moon wasn't around, and that it come around some kind of way, and let them be for lights, you know what I'm saying? So, and the Elohim made two great lights. The great light for rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. All this physical, all this physically been proven right now to have happened. That's a well acknowledged fact in the science arena, is that moon some kind of way just got there. All right, now, but listen, as you're reading Genesis, right? As you're reading Genesis, and he telling you how everything was created, you will notice, you know what I'm saying, that for some reason, you know what I'm saying, when you get to Two, you know what I'm saying, to say the formation of man and so forth, that they mention gold. The name of the first, one of the rivers, the first of is Pushon, that which compasseth the whole land of Havilah, where there is gold. Where there is gold and oxen stone and wood, you see minerals and so forth, metals and minerals and so forth. Man, they looking for that. So who gonna be digging, man, for this stuff? Man, in Genesis, that they know that this stuff here. You see, they ain't just, just somebody just walking across the ground and say, hey, all these minerals and all this stuff is in the ground. Somebody is digging. Somebody is doing some work, meaning to find out, you know what I'm saying, about this. And then we already know that it's a heavenly host, because there's no way possible, humanly possible, that the monuments that's been built in Egypt and all them other places could exist, you know what I'm saying, without a heavenly host. And we know that it's a heavenly host, because I'm going to prove this. And all this is showing that Almighty Yah is physical, and the Israelites don't need to be looking for no spirit and so forth, and that how we need to be looking for something physical. Physical. Sure enough. But look, somebody had to be digging. Look, somebody had to be digging, man, for that gold. And man, for them to know about that gold, man, it ain't gonna be nothing but your boy here, because he mentioned right after that. Look, right after that, look. Now the serpent was more suitable than any beast of the field which the MH YAH had made. Do y'all understand that? He gonna be the one that's been digging from that gold. He gonna be the one that's been digging for the gold. He gonna be the one that's been digging for the gold. And Israelites ain't gonna know it. They ain't gonna know it, man. They gonna think that your boy is something else. You know, they done gave Israelites, man, the image, man, that the serpent, man, is it is a mythological thing. But no, in all the cultures, look, meaning all the cultures and all the cultures around the world, meaning they had serpent worship and so forth, especially in Mesopotamia, mean what you call Egypt. You know what I'm saying? I mean, in Babylon, you know what I'm saying? They got it in Egypt too. I'm going to show it. But look, in Mesopotamia, in India, in the Americas, all these places, man, serpent worship. And all them folks value gold and had a whole bunch of gold and so forth. I believe Almighty Yah and heavenly hosts came to earth and collected it from them and stuff, or collected it from them. And but us Israelites was supposed to govern them and be over them, because Almighty Yah gave us a law that that He already said we was gonna be His priestly nation. But you see this serpent worship. Look, serpents. They go Egypt. Egypt got the serpent worship too. Yes, they got serpent worship too. Serpent worship. All in the Americas, everywhere. Look at that one. It's a serpent holding up some little bitty baby serpents in his hand. Serpents, look, mixed in. Look, that one got breasts. And that's what I want to tell y'all Israelites. Y'all might think it's a joke, but it's awful. But man, it's happening. That they starting to hybridization, where they mixing the humans with the animals. Yes, and our people is participating in it. I'm gonna explain it. I'm gonna make a video about it, and it's awful. And what's happening is that the serpent is trying to change the creation. He's trying to change the creation. That's like human and dog chromosomes. They say it's just about 6 or 7 missing, and that, you know what I'm saying. Then they match, and then how they trying to make the match. They done made the match. You know what I'm saying. I got some images of some half hermit, half animals. I ain't gonna just show it yet, but yes, you know, the person father walking around on 2 foals and sniffing on
mailboxes and so forth, and that they done did it, and that they'll show you this meaning sight sometime. You know what I'm saying? It's awful. I ain't surprised, because I been know that this is where it's going, and this what was gonna happen and stuff, and it's mostly gonna happen to the Israelites, man. Where they gonna try to change you and change you into a half animal and half a human, is because the serpent, you know what I'm saying, was the original one, and he lost that look, but he wanna reverse it for us. Well, we didn't start out looking like that, but well, we end up looking like that. And all this happened is because when the Israelites broke the covenant, Almighty Yah took off. And I'm going to explain that and show that in the Tanakh, which show that he physical, because all this physical stuff is happening that you can see. But yes, listen, anything that got a nose, a mouth, a behind, a rectum, and some arms and some limbs, they know how to bring it together and change it. If it got a nose and a mouth and breathe air and got a tongue and some limbs, they done cross that threshold, man, to where that they can, make half human and half animals. And, this is, what it's going to. And this is basically what, it's been driven from long time ago. But they at the stage that they can do it now. And all this is in the fallen angelic beings' children's hand, the serpent children's hand, and so forth. That's in the serpent children's hand. Y'all know who they is. I ain't got to go into too many details, you know what I'm saying? And oh man, it's awful. But some Israelites think it's a joke. Nah, it's real. Nah, it's real. And they trying to bring it out, and they bring it out through the homosexual community. It's the gateway to bringing out the hybrids, and that's what the serpent was. He had to do work and so forth. That's that serpent worship in Egypt. He all over. He's in the Americas. He's in the Americas. Man, he's in North America. He's in Europe. You know what I'm saying? And that was that serpent in his can, and they had to be digging for gold. You know what I'm saying? And we having a covenant, or a covenant, and being created by Almighty Yah was to govern them and keep control of the earth. And long as we had control of the earth with Almighty Yah's covenant, that it would be righteousness and the earth can prosper, and then Almighty Yah and them come around and come down, you know what I'm saying, and kick it, but they might not stay long, because Almighty Yah is creating life on other planets. Now that might be shocking to y'all, but yeah, man, he creating life on other planets. And that's why I come in the Tanakh. He say, I done seen these type of stiff-necked folks before. Because, man, we ain't the only creation. And that it's a heavenly host. You see, he say he created, the serpent. Look, now, the serpent was more suitable than any beast of the field which the Elohim Yah had made. They already say that these planets been around. Man, they say 13 billion or 50 billion. They can't even name how long the planet's been around in other galaxies. They have no idea if they ever get to measure the heavens and get to complete it. It's over with for us as Tanakh prophecy. That's a whole nother history, but it's over with for us. But thanks to Almighty Yah that, man, it's no way possible that them folks can, get to the end and measure heaven, but they done figured out a whole bunch, and then they know that it's billions of planets, and then they know that they've been around. See, they say that each star, each light represent like a sun, and its planets
going around him. You might can't see them, but it's planets going around him just like the Earth, and that's a whole bunch of them is habitable. And then we know in the Tanakh that you know what I'm saying, in Psalms and Proverbs where it talk about Orion and so forth, and the stars are Palladian and so forth. Well, you know, that's cause somebody done been there and understand them places in the heavens, in that, you know, our enemies, the women, the serpent children, just now, you know, getting the grasp of it. But how did we had true knowledge, us Israelites? So you know how long Almighty Yah existed, we don't know. He always existed, just like Tanakh say, he always existed, because you can't put no time on him. They say billions and billions, but oh man, you don't know. You know what I'm saying? That's a way to say it, that it is beyond counting. When they start throwing numbers and stuff like that out and stuff, and then we know that I could show that they come to this earth in some crafts. So it makes sense that, you know, Almighty Yah created, you know what I'm saying, the earth, and there's some minerals on it. They wanted. He created a serpent. The serpent working. Now he got some overseers. That's us, the overseers, and we got a law to stay overseers. But if we should break that law and fall out of, you know, grace with that law, that serpent gonna rise up and destroy. But that Almighty Yah is coming back. He coming back because he wrote us on the palm of his hand, and that he gonna, you know, get everything straight. But that what's prolonging us coming back into heritage to be over, but we're meant, basically meant to govern ourselves, in which would lead to everybody else having some freedom. Is that we believe in the God Son worship that the serpents, you know, created and so forth. Who are the God Sons and so forth. So, but like I said, it's millions, billions, and planets, habitable planets. You know what I'm saying? They understand this. They send all kind of space androids and stuff looking around and stuff, and they got real sophisticated technology to where the serpent is not dumb, and that he know where his you know uh, uh can come from. It's got to be some old serpents, man, out there too on some other planets, and I show, man, that, you know what I said, that how that the serpent wanna wants to destroy the earth, meaning take off and then go try to do like a same thing, because he think he's the creator. You see, it said in Isaiah 14. I'm gonna try to get that in Isaiah 14, how to late Lucifer, whatever, you know what I'm saying, will be kicked out of the heavens and back down to the earth. You know what I'm saying? All right, so then let's get into some of this right here, man. I want to get into showing that Almighty Yah physical. So we already know, man, that, you know, in the gold of that land is good, and there is bedulium and oxenstone. So somebody digging and looking for this, and that it's in Genesis. And the river went out of the garden, and the river went out of Eden to water the garden, and from this it was parted and became so. So they know it's some gold there. You know what I'm saying? It's some gold, and somebody gonna be digging and looking for it. Ain't no question about that. And we know there's gonna be this fella right here, the whole serpent. You know what I'm saying? We know he gonna be the one that's gonna be doing, you know what I'm saying, the work, and then it's gonna make him real, you know what I'm saying, real real jealous and everything if Almighty Yah make another creation, and then how that'll make him deceitful and want to get off from up under the work that he been doing, as you see in his descendants right now today, how they hate to do some work and will rather trick somebody else into doing the laborious part, and then they reap the reward and so forth. Would be just like them doing the work and then giving the gold to Almighty Yah. Is that now you work for the serpent and so forth, because we lost, you know, our way. But you see, the serpent was real crafty, and then we know that the serpent was
a physical being and so forth, because the Creator told, you know what I'm saying, I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed, between thy seed and her seed, and it shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel, which will make him fall and so forth. You know, he gonna bruise our head, meaning he gonna have us all, you know, messed up and brainwashed and believing in the God sons and so forth. And then Almighty Yah so smart that he said in metaphors, he could see what's gonna happen and see it in the metaphor, and it turned out just like that. It turned out just like he said, because you know, uh, the enemy bruise your head, man. You can't think, you can't do nothing right. And this how it's gonna take us to get his heel to make him fall. You see what I'm saying, and that makes sense. All right, so we know that, you know what I'm saying, that we dealing with some physical beings, because he talking about the seed of a woman and so forth, and but between thy seed and her seed. You know, all right, so we know the serpent caused trouble and an escape from work. I mean, about this time he done escaped it. He escaped, and all the rest of them around the world that do serpent worship, you know, happy now. You know what I'm saying? They ain't got to, you know, do right. And then, mean, as you read and so forth, Almighty Yah, you know, told Adam and Eve that they'll have some children and so forth. They had children, and then we know one of them was kind of suspectable, man, about him, Cain, about his just real origin and stuff. Some speculate that the serpent went in, meaning to our mama and so forth, and then Adam went in after, but not knowing and that, you know, that the two seeds come from, you know, like that and so forth. But anyway, you know, Cain killed him and killed Abel, and then, you know, Abel dead, and then now Cain got to take off, and Cain went out from the presence of the Elohim and dwelt in the land of Nod on the east of Eden. That's gonna be where your boy the serpent them got to be, cause ain't nobody else here but him doing some work, digging, and you know where that gold is good at. You see what I'm saying? He gonna be digging and doing some work. So the old serpent gonna be head old Nod. You see what I'm saying? So old Nod, that's common sense. That Cain is kicking it with them, and Cain descendants get mixed with them. You see what I'm saying? And then that's why come. You see, look, and to Seth, to him also there was born a son, and he called on the name of Enos, that be, Enos, then began man to call upon the name of Yah. See, because Almighty Yah, you know, setting his people, you know what I'm saying? Man, from his original creation, they producing, and then they calling back on my Almighty Yah. It's still chance of us getting back to planning and working things, you know, out the way it's supposed to be, if we calling on Almighty Yah, and there's some kind of covenant. And then I say how Seth and them had a oral covenant, you know what I'm saying, that they didn't have to write it down, and how that they was getting it fresh from the source. All right. And it come to pass, when man began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of Yah saw the daughters of men, that they were fair. And man, I showed fair to be, you know, non-pigmented and so forth, and, and you know, white and so forth, and they took them wives of all which they chose. Now, if Almighty Yah done made some creation, and then created the serpent and created man, then he ain't gonna be too thrilled with them mixing. See, he ain't gonna be too thrilled with them mixing, so it's gonna have to be Cain doing something, because he ain't giving, you know what I'm saying, no instructions and so forth, and how he just killed and, you know, took off, and did how that, you know, he didn't get no instructions. So, you know, he gonna be mixing with these folks. So the sons of Yah saw the daughters of man, and they were fair. So this showed that, you know, the sons of Yah, that that it's a heavenly host right here in this physical. Saw the daughters of men that they were fair, and they took them wives, all which they chose. And the Elohim said, my spirit shall not dwell, and shall not always strive with man, for that he is also flesh. Yet his days shall be 120 years. And then look, man, before then I could show, man, before the mixing, everybody was living 8, 9, 700 years. Look, 887 years, 802 years, and minutes before they start having kids, 900 years and 90 years. You know, Enoch's walk with Almighty Yah probably took him on off, because they in some crafts. I'm gonna show this, and man, they lived a long time. Them folks did back then. Man, that's before the Serpent. You know what I'm saying? Them folks mixed in the fallen angelic beings and so forth, fell in and so forth. You know what I'm saying? And they mixed in, and then the life expectancy got cut down, and then Almighty Yah tried to destroy them. You know what I'm saying? And then some of them was destroyed on this side of the flood and so forth. On this side of the flood, but on this side they didn't just get it. But they say in all cultures that it was a flood all around the world, mean about the same time. You know what I'm saying? At the same time, they show this in all the historical accounts of all the ancient history of the nations and so forth, that there was a flood about the same time. All right. So we know that Almighty Yah tried, you know what I'm saying, was finna get them wiped out in some kind of way. That the Nephilims, uh, uh, the serpent's descendants survived. You know what I'm saying? I got a video showing that they went underground in Turkey. In Turkey, they went underground, and then how they was underground in them air pockets and so forth. They got uh, uh some caves, man, that they showed has been around for 10, 20,000 years. They can't put no date on them. And then how folks lived up under there for a long time, for thousands of years and so forth, and how it had air pockets and so forth. And then I show y'all how the Hittites lived there. There's gonna be Cain descendants mixed with the fallen angelic beings and so forth. Even though they didn't be mixing with a little other folks and then lost that little ancient serpent look, but that's where they, was at. And I got a video explaining that. And then I show how that they went from the Caucasus, the Turkey, and the Caucasus up here all the way through the Zagros mountains, and then come into Babylon all kind of ways and so forth. Alright, so now this is what I want to explain too. Now, I didn't explain this at first, but look, let me show you this. Let me show you Israelites this, that look, and then this is your spirit. This is your spirit. Your soul, your spirit is right here. And the Elohim Yah formed man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostril the breath of life. And man become a living soul. A living soul. You know what I'm saying? And then your spiritualism gonna come from worshiping Almighty Yah and knowing the truth. That's true spiritualism, because he inside you. He inside you then. Almighty Yah is a spirit then, and he inside you then when you believing in him and worshiping him. But your soul and your spirit, all that's housed in your body, your senses, and so forth. And that's what separated us from the animals, because it didn't say that he just breathed into the animals, but that Almighty Yah formed man and breathed into his nostrils. He breathed into our nostrils, putting life in us. You see what I'm saying? Causing life to come into us. You know what I'm saying? And then if you read those dry bones in the book of Ezekiel, man, it basically tell you, you know what I'm saying, how, the they come together and Almighty. So we know that it can be done. We know that it can be done because the prophet later on explaining, you know what I'm saying, how he could take some bones, man, and put flesh on them, and then put life in them. But how Almighty Yah breathed life, meaning to Adam personally. All right, so we know that can happen, and that it did happen because I just showed you that it happened. So we know that Noah, you know what I'm saying, had his sons and so forth, and that during the flood, was supposed to wipe them serpents out all over the earth, but the serpents, you know, some kind of way survived. Not all of them, but you know what I'm saying, a little percentage of them are enough to repopulate, you know what I'm saying, the earth again, and then that's what happened and stuff. All right, so let's go into this right here. So we know that Almighty Yah breathe life, you know what I'm saying, into us because it's explaining a nostril and some breath going in. And we know a lot of folks do CPR and all of those stuff. All right, now this is what me and I want to show now is that to show you that Almighty Yah is real is that is that we're gonna go to a time when Prophet Abraham was around. See, Prophet Abraham still going off the oral law that was from his forefathers before him. Cause remember, Prophet Abraham still got that good gene. I mean, he lived 175 years, and then that ain't nothing compared to the 5, 6, 7, 800 years that his forefathers and great forefathers, you know what I'm saying, lived but 175 years, meaning that that's kind of up there. And that how he was still up under the oral law and how he believed in Almighty Yah that'll have a law that go all the way back to Seth when they started to call on Almighty Yah and so forth. And that how Abraham had a personal relationship with Almighty Yah and how Almighty Yah was visiting the earth. You know what I'm saying? Man, at them times, because you know we can show that not too far after Prophet Noah and his sons, and then they repopulate, and then Prophet Abraham was told to go towards Sodom and Gomorrah. Go towards the promised land, and that how his nephew Lot was with him, and then how that they were supposed to go to the promised land and receive the land that the serpents mixed in with the folks had control of, and that's gonna be the land of Canaan, meaning Canaanites and so forth, the Amorite tribes in Pacific. You know, I got a lot of history about the Amorites. All right, and then how did he, went there and did like Almighty Yah said. You know what I'm saying? That old serpent worship was all around him in the Mesopotamia area, and then how he left them parts and then went towards the land where Almighty Yah said that he would give him. And then this is how you know that Almighty Yah is physical. The host of heaven is Yah physical? Yes. All right, and we finna see this. Look. All right, so Abraham was, somewhere kicking it in memory. And all right, and I'm gonna start right here. And the Elohim appeared unto him in the plains of Merimee, and he sat in the tent door in the heat of the day, and he lifted up his eyes and looked, and lo, 3 men stood by. And look, he said, 3 men stood by. 3 men stood by now. 3 men stood by. And when he saw them, he ran to meet them from the tent and bowed himself toward the ground and said, My Elohim, if now I have found favor in thy sight, pass not away, I pray thee, from thy servant. Let a little water, I pray you, be fetched, and wash your feet, and rest yourselves under the tree. And then listen, man, he got feet and drank water and everything. And I fetch, and I will fetch a morsel of bread and comfort ye your hearts. After that ye shall pass on. For therefore are ye come to your servant. And they said, so do as thou hast said.
Now listen, back then, man, the heavenly host, man, got to look like, man, something similar to us. Oh, we can't say that Almighty Yah ain't created a heavenly host like us somewhere else and got some of them there with him, and they got powers. But they looking like the people of the time, because he populate earths. He populate earths as demonstrated with the earth, as demonstrated with us. So we know he populate earth. So, he could have had some, some angels that, the heavenly host, men that look like us there, which I more than likely think happened and so forth. All right. So, so do as thou hast said. And Abraham hastened into the tent unto Sarah and said, make ready quick 3 measures of fine meal, knead it, and make cakes upon the earth. And Abraham ran unto the herd and fetched a calf, tender and good, and gave it unto the young men, and he hastened to dress it. And he took the butter and milk and the calf which he had dressed, and set it before them, and stood by them under the tree, and they did eat. And they said unto him, where is Sarah thy wife? And he said, behold, in the tent. And he said, I will certainly return unto thee according to the time of life. And lo, Sarah thy wife shall have a son. And Sarah heard it in the tent door, which was behind him. Now Abraham and Sarah were old and well stricken in age, and it ceased to be with Sarah after the manner of woman. He ain't say nothing about Prophet Abraham. He still get healed on. But the woman, she kind of probably past her period stage, and there ain't no more babies coming out. But not with Almighty Yah and the heavenly host. They just letting you know that this is real. All right. And the Elohim said unto Abraham, what, let me see. So our mother laughs, and Sarah laughed within herself, saying, after I am waxed old, shall I have pleasure, my Lord, being also old also? See, doubt. Women to do that stuff too to you. And the Elohim said unto Abraham, wherefore did Sarah laugh, saying, shall I of a surety bear a child, which am old? Is anything too hard for the Elohim? In the time appointed, I will return unto thee according to the time of life, and Sarah shall have a son. That means she gonna have a son because they got millions of years of knowledge. It ain't nothing to create a son or have her to produce a son. But Abraham gonna have to be involved. He gonna have to be involved. It ain't gonna be no miraculous creation and so forth. That Almighty Yah was the only one that did that, and he did that one time with Adam and so forth. All right. And then Sarah denied, saying, I laugh not, for she was afraid, and say, nay, but thou didst laugh. You know what I'm saying? And they, told her you was laughing. And the men rose up from thence and looked toward Sodom, and Abraham went with them and to bring them on the way. And the Elohim said, shall I hide from Abraham that which I do, seeing that Abraham shall surely become a great and mighty nation, and all the nations of the earth shall be blessed in him? And it's truth. All our creations right now today, from in captivity, gave modern age what it has today. You know what I'm saying? And they took everything from us during the slavery days. You know what I'm saying? When we was creating all kind of stuff over here in the Americas and so forth. And it's basically been replicated all around the world and so forth. Refrigeration. All this stuff. You can't do nothing. Man, society couldn't be what it is without refrigeration and so forth. All right. So I know him that I will commend his children. Let me see. Seeing that Abraham shall surely become a great and mighty nation, and all the nations of the earth shall be blessed in him. For I know him that he will commend his children. Look, that he will commend his children and his household after him, and they
shall keep the way of the Elohim to do justice and judgment. So Abraham had to know an oral law. It was an oral law, because how would Prophet Abraham know about righteous and justice? He had to get it from his forefathers that go on, and they was all prophets going all the way back. And how did them prophets made a distinction from that serpent culture and so forth that was around him and so forth. All right. See, Almighty Yah got a plan. He gonna put Prophet Abraham's seed in the heart of the wickedness, which was the promised land. At the time, Babylon and Egypt, terrible, but right there is the seed of the Amorite culture up in there, man. That's where they love to hang out. You know what I'm saying? That's where they love to hang out, and Almighty Yah name was there at one time, because he tried to save them when they was throwed out in the blood and stuff and so forth. But yes, the Amorite culture is right there. And then if we, would have did right, because Almighty Yah placed us right in the middle of it, and then we follow his law, then it's going to spread out, and it's going to take the earth over. But if we lose that center spot, and the other folks get it, that the serpent culture going to take the whole earth over. And then that's what happened. That's what happened. All right. And Elohim said, because the cry of Sodom and Gomorrah is great, and because their sin is very grievous, I will go down now and see whether they have done altogether according to the cry of it, which is come unto me. If not, I will know. And the men turned their faces from thence and went toward Sodom. But Abraham stood yet before the Elohim, and Abraham drew near and said, will thou also destroy the righteous with the wicked? And he been thinking about his folks there. Therefore, peradventure there be 50 righteous within the city. Will thou also destroy and not spare the place for the 50 righteous that are therein? That be far, look, this is how you know he dealing with the Creator. That be far from thee to do after this manner, to slay the righteous with the wicked. See, he didn't had encounters with Almighty Yah before and know about him. You know what I'm saying? He know that he ain't gonna slay the righteous, you know what I'm saying, because the wicked. Look, to slay the righteous with the wicked, and that the righteous should be as the wicked. See, because Almighty Yah gave us our law would establish the difference. Look, and that be far from thee to do after this manner, to slay the righteous with the wicked, and that the righteous should be as the wicked. That be far from thee. Shall not the judge of all the earth do right? And then this went all the way on, you know what I'm saying, with Almighty Yah talking to Abraham about how many, Prophet Abraham said, man, if it's 45, if it's 35, if it's 30, if it's 25, he kept going all the way down to 5. And Almighty Yah said, if it's 5 righteous folks in Sodom and Gomorrah, ain't going to destroy them. But Sodom and Gomorrah had been took over by the Nephilims, the fallen angelic beings, the serpent folks, and the Amorites, and they was doing all kind of wicked stuff there, and homosexuality, all kind of stuff, and then how they tried to get the angel, but the angels, you know what I'm saying, men destroyed them. You know what I'm saying? Got locked them up out of there and then destroyed them. And when the morning rose, the angels hastened Lot, saying, arise, take thy wife and thy 2 daughters, which are here, lest thou become consumed in the iniquity of the city. And while he lingered, the men laid hold, and upon his hand, and upon the hand of his wife, and upon the hand of his 2 daughters, and the Elohim being merciful to him, and brought him forth, and set him without the city. And it come to pass, when they had brought them forth, that he said, escape for thy life, look not behind thee, neither stay thou in the way. But because they was using nuclear stuff with some serious burning and stuff, and it would have hurt his ass. But them folks tried to get the angels when they come to the city, that the serpent folks was so wicked. The serpent culture, the serpent culture gonna be just about all the culture that's not from Almighty Yah. And let me see. And he said, "Behold now, my lords," and then so they had surrounded the house and tried to get in on Lot and them. Nay, but I will abide in the streets, and he pressed men upon them greatly, and they turned into him and entered into his house. Lot invited the angels in, being righteous. But before they lay down, the men of the city, even the men of Sodom, compassed the house round both old and young, all the men from every quarter, all the people from every quarter, and they called unto Lot and said unto him, Where are the men which come into this city, which come in unto thee this night? Bring them out unto us that we may know them. The men trying to be freaky. And Lot went out of the door, made men unto them, and shut the door after him, and said, I pray you, brethren, do not so wickedly. Behold, now I have two daughters which have not known men. Let me, I pray you, bring them out, men unto you, and do unto them as good in your eyes. Now, this is daughters. This is how you know it was something serious and that it was of a sexual nature. Because why would this man go give his daughters up? Man, that's something that you treasure. But to keep these angels from getting raped by the serpent people, them Amorite folks, and that he offered his daughter, but they was dealing with something serious and didn't know it, and the angels then got them. Destroyed the whole city, burnt them up. Burnt them up. So we know that that's physical because the places where it happened exist, and they got evidence, man, from that era and so forth. All right, so we know Almighty Yah real. You know what I'm saying? Then the next time, we can show that our father Jacob, that our father Jacob had an encounter with the Elohim, and it's gonna be physical right here. You know what I'm saying? And if you go to Genesis 32, let me see, and he took them and sent them to the brook and sent over that he had, and Jacob was left alone, and there wrestled a man. Look, and there wrestled a man with him, momentum to the breaking of the day. Now we already know that Almighty Yah said that he made man in his image. So man, if he made man in his image, then it's quite quite common sense that that our father gonna be fighting with somebody that what I'm saying, that was like a man. All right, let me see. And Elohim planted the garden Israel, and there he put the man and the woman that he formed. All right, let me see. God formed the man and breathed into his life, but we know it's some scriptures. I'm trying to find them where he made us in his image, and the Lord calls to didst. All right, here it is. Now we know that the Creator is a heavenly host when He said, "Let us make man in our image, in our image." And then said, "Let us make man in our image and after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish and over everything." You see, the ones that He created, and that serpent could have been created somewhere else, meaning brung to the earth. You see what I'm saying? It's a lot of answers, man, to how he could have come into existence and so forth. All right, so we know our father Jacob was, wrestled with one of the angels, with with the heavenly host, whether it's Almighty Yah or angel, but they was physical. That's some physicalness. You know what I'm saying? And then the next time, and I want to go from when we come out of Egypt. It was some physical beings leading us out of Egypt. All right. Now let's go to let's see if I can go to, let me see, Joshua 5. If I can get Joshua 5 in, and this will let us see that Almighty Yah is physical, and that how y'all have been tricked into looking for some spiritual being. And then I'm going to show y'all what happened, and then how we broke the covenant, and how Almighty Yah said that he going to go to his dwelling place, because till we find out you know what I'm saying, what's going on, and that how we broke the covenant, and that how we gonna come in the knowledge of that, and that's what's happening now. And I turn right to this. All right, so this would be Joshua 5. All right, Joshua 5 tell you how the prophet Joshua was somewhere kicking it, and then how that, you know what I'm saying, that the that a that an angel had, man, come up on him. I'm gonna read the whole passage. Man, this video might be a little longer than the other ones, Hebrews. I'm gonna try to wrap it up for long though. Look, and it come to pass when all the kings of the Amorites, which were on the side of Jordan westward, and all the kings of the Canaanites, which was by the sea, heard that Elohim had dried up the waters of Jordan from before the children of Israel. See, that serpent gonna know Almighty Yah is around, and his descendants gonna know he real. You know, they gonna know he real, and they gonna know that it's the heavenly host too, because they know that we ain't drying up no waters and stuff before the children of Israel until they passed over, that their heart melted. Neither was their spirit in them anymore, because the children of Israel. So when they seen that the angel and Almighty Yah and them did the little acts from that craft, that it made their heart melted. Like it'll make their heart melt now if a craft come down and assist us in any kind of way. But we know that Almighty Yah already told us how, he gonna make our enemies do right. Look, at that time the Elohim said unto Joshua, Make thee 3 sharp knives, and circumcise again the children of Israel the second time. And Joshua made him circumcision. All right. Now all the people that were circumcised, but all the people, you know what I'm saying, those the ones that left Egypt, that didn't follow Almighty Yah word. We had to wander around for 40 years till they died off, and a whole new crew come in, and they had to be circumcised. They had to be circumcised. So that's what was happening here. Now all the people that come out were circumcised, but all that were born in the wilderness by the way, as they come forth out of Egypt, them they had not circumcised. For the children of Israel walked 40 years in the wilderness, to all the people that were men of war which come out of Egypt were consumed, because they obeyed not the voice of the Elohim, whom the Elohim swore that he would not show them the land which the Elohim swore unto their fathers that he would give us, a land that floweth with milk and honey, and their children whom he raised up in their stead. Them Joshua circumcised, for they were uncircumcised, because they had not circumcised them by the way. And it come to pass, when they had done circumcising all the people, that they abode in their place in the camp till they were whole. And the Elohim said unto Joshua, This day have I rolled away the reproach of Egypt from off you. Wherefore the name of the place is Gilgal, and the children of Israel encamped in Gilgal to the Passover on the 14th day of the month, even in the plains of Jericho. And they did eat of the corn, and let me see. And when they did eat of the corn the self same day, and the manna ceased. The manna that was coming out the heavens gonna probably be some provisions that Almighty Yah brought, that He can feed His creation and so forth. And probably for the heavenly hosts. You know what I'm saying? Men on them crafts, and I'm gonna show y'all something. All right. And the manna ceased on the morrow, after they had eaten of the old corn of the land. Neither had the children of Israel manna any more, but they did eat of the fruit of the land of Canaan that year. And it come to pass, when Joshua was by Jericho, that he lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, there stood a what? There stood a man over against him with a sword drawn in his hand. And Joshua went unto him and said unto him, Art thou for us or for our adversaries? See, that's Almighty our creation. Them angels, you know what I'm saying? He could have brung them They looking just like us, but they physical. They physical. They physical. Look. And he said, nay, but as captain of the host of the Elohim am I now come. And Joshua fell on his face to the earth and did worship and said unto him, what said my Lord unto his servant? And the captain of the Elohim host said unto Joshua, loose thy shoes from off thy feet, for the place whereon thou standest is holy. Yeah, man, you got an entity, man, from off this earth. You know what I'm saying? Telling you what to do. That's gonna be a holy spot. That's gonna be a holy spot. And then let me show y'all, man, the host of heaven. That wasn't the only one, man. I think let me see. Our daddy Jacob met the host. Let me see. Let's go to that'll be Genesis 32. Trying to get where I can wrap this up. Genesis 32. 1, 2. Yeah, I already showed that. Let me see. 1 and 2. Alright. And when Jacob saw them, he called, this is the host, and this is Yah's host. And he, you know what I'm saying? So we already know that Almighty Yah come with a crew, and that is more than just him. So it's something physical going on. This is physical. All right, so we can go to Psalms. Let me see, Psalms 91, and then I'm gonna show in the book of Ezekiel how, you know what I'm saying, the crafts come down from the heaven, and he's seen this, and this was way before his time. This was way before his time, but as we understand things now, man, today, that we know that, you know what I'm saying, that planes can fly, and, you know, planes can fly, and spaceships going in and out the heavens and so forth. We know this, you know what I'm saying, but we see this, and we done seen this, you know what I'm saying. They show you all the time, man, about the spaceship, you know what I'm saying, the NASA sending stuff up to the skies, you know what I'm saying. So, you know, let's get to looking at some of this here. All right, so we can go to, let me wrap it up so this video just don't be just real long. But let me go to Psalms 91. See, we lost the control to control the serpent. What's to do the covenant, and that's why come we get another chance. Let me see. That'll be 11. For he shall give his angels charge over thee to keep thee in all his ways, in all thy ways. Now, let me show some of these scriptures where Almighty Yah left the earth. Left, but because we broke the covenant and wouldn't do right. Man, he got creation, to do. You know what I'm saying? There's other planets to populate and create. You know what I'm saying? There's other life to create. That we ain't the only creation, and did how we should have did right by that covenant. All right, now let's go to Genesis. That'd be Deuteronomy. Well, we're gonna go to Deuteronomy 31:17, and then this is the law that he gave Moses to give to us to get back control of the serpent in its kind. Then my anger shall be kindled against them in that day, and I will forsake them, and I will hide my face from them, and they shall be devoured. And many evils and troubles shall befall them, so that they shall say in that day, are not all these evils come upon us, because our Yah is not among us? Now, my Almighty Yah can move around in the crowd. Then he ain't just got to be stuck up under us. If we ain't doing right. And look, and I will surely hide my face in that day for all the evils which they shall have wrought, and that they shall turn unto other gods. And that's what happened to us. in the book of Jeremiah, it's recorded how we went into Africa to do the Egyptian religion. And that's what caused the transatlantic slave trade. All right, let's go to, man, it's going to be whole shield. Now, I mean, there's so many verses. Let me see. That'll be Ezekiel 7:32. Let me see what that say. Ezekiel 7:32. I should have marked down a lot of these verses. I thought I did, but I didn't. Ezekiel 7:32. Yeah, so we lost control of the serpent by the little evil, wicked stuff that we did. You know what I'm saying? And let the serpent get around and cause out bringing the whole earth down. The whole planet that Almighty Yah created finna be took down, but Almighty Yah say he gonna save us. Today, how he gonna save us and then save the earth through us. And it can happen easily when the Israelites come into heritage of who we really are. Alright, so let's go to Ezekiel 30. Let's see, 39:23. Ezekiel 39:23. 39:23. Alright. And the heathen shall know that the house of Israel went into captivity for their iniquity, because they trespassed against me. Therefore hid I my face from them, and gave them into the hand of their enemies. So fell they by the sword. Man, if that ain't the truth, I don't know what is. That's the only truth. Man, that's the only truth. Ain't no other truth. That's the only truth. Alright, so we know that happened. Now let's go to Ezekiel. That'll be 7:21. 7:21, and then I'm going to show the crafts that Almighty Yah can get down in, and why he ain't here, and why all this stuff happening to us. Why all this stuff happening to us. Alright, 7:21. 7:21. And I will give it into the hands of the strangers for a prey, and to the wicked of the earth for a spoil, and they shall pollute it. That's what happened to our heritage. They polluted it. It's been polluted. Let me see if I can get some more of this history up. Let me see. Alright. So we know Hosea 5:15. Hosea 5:15. Let's see what it say. Hosea 5:15. Alright. Hosea 5:15. Alright. I will go and return to my place till they acknowledge their offense and seek my face. In their affliction they will seek me early. Alright, so we know that Almighty Yah said all this already. Now let's go see how Almighty Yah get down to his resting place that'll leave us vulnerable meant to the serpent. And then we go to the prophet Ezekiel. Alright, and this is during the Babylonian wars. Man, he took it and he got this vision. There ain't no way in the world he can see this and not understand it, because we understand this today real easily about flying crafts and so forth. That they didn't have no flying crafts back then, and that he couldn't even comprehend nothing like that, and that it would take an actual vision, men, in order to comprehend and see something like that, and especially some wheels with some lights in it. Look, our name come to pass in the 30th year, in the 4th month, in the 5th day of the month, as I was among the captives by the river Chabar, that the heavens were open, man, and I saw visions. In the 5th month, in the 5th day of the month, which was in the 50th month, 50th year of King the Jehoiachin captivity, the word of the Elohim came expressly unto Ezekiel, the priest, the son of Buzi. So they tell you that the word came unto him. Look, and the priest, the son of Buzi, in the land of the Chaldeans by the river Chabar, and the hand of the Elohim was upon him. And I looked, and behold, a whirlwind come out of the north, a great cloud, and a fire enfolding itself. That's that exhaust. And in a brightness was about it, and out of the midst thereof was a color of ember out of the midst of the fire. Also out of the midst thereof come the likeness of four living creatures, and this was their appearance. They had the likeness of a man. I mean, he could see him. And everyone had four faces, and everyone had four wings. Man, they sitting in the cockpit. You know what I'm saying? And their feet were straight. And maybe he talking about their landing gear. And the sole of their calf was like the sole of calf foot. You know what I'm talking about? He telling you the difference between that calf hoof and the rest of the leg. And they spark like the color of varnished brass. And they had the hands of a man under their wings, and on their four sides they four had the faces of their wings. And their wings were joined one to another. You know what I'm saying? You see that on a plane. They turned not when they went. They went every one straight forward. As for the likeness of their face, they four had the face of a man and the face of a lion on the one side, and they four had the face of an ox on the other side, and they four had the face of an eagle. We ain't no telling what type of creation. Man, them could have been some folks that got messed up on the other planets that we finna go through the hibernization when they start mixing species and stuff together. That them could have been some from some other planets that got messed up, but they believe and worship Almighty Yah and working for him and so forth. You see what I'm saying? So that could be why they could be looking like that, because we know that the Egyptians, the Babylonians, all of them got images of half human, half animals and so forth, and that how that existed one time. All right. This was their face, and their wings were stretched upward. Two wings on every one were joined one to another, and two covered their bodies. And when they went, everyone straight forward. Whether the spirit was to go, they went, and they turned not when they went. As for the likeness of the living creature, their appearance was the likeness of was burning coals of fire, and like the appearance of lamps. That's them lights, and it went up and down among the living creatures, and the fire was bright, and out of the fire went forth lightning. Man, and the living creatures ran. Listen, and the living creatures ran and returned as the appearance of a flash of lightning. Man, I got proof that our enemies say that they've been seeing something in the heavens getting down 90,000 miles an hour, 75, 80,000 miles an hour. Man, the Navy been following what they call this tic-tac thing. I ain't got the image of it, but how that thing moves so fast on them and accelerated and get out. Man, I'm talking about this is technology beyond Earth's comprehension. That nowhere, no nation got this type of technology and so forth. And I'm showing you that the heavenly hosts exist and that they come out of the heavens, because the prophet Ezekiel explaining it to you. And then we know throughout Tanakh history explaining it to you that it's a heavenly host. Look, and the living creatures ran and returned as the appearance of a flash of lightning. Now, as I behold the living creatures, behold, one wheel upon the earth by the living creatures was his fourth face, and the appearance of the wheels in their work was like unto the color of braille, and they four had one likeness. The host, the soldiers gonna have the same uniforms, and their appearance and their work was as it was a wheel in the middle of a wheel. And when they went, men upon their four sides, and they turned not when they went. But man, you can see it dragging off. But as they go, man, it's gonna lift up to the side up in them. And as for their wings, they were so high that they were dreadful, and their wings were full of eyes round about. When before them were many seen them lights. And when the living creature went, the wheels went by them. And when the living creature were lifted up from the earth, the wheels were lifted up. Man, he's seeing this. Many seeing the craft going in and out. We see this now. You see a plane going all flying all the time. You see helicopters and all this. Now, what make you think that Almighty Yah with millions, maybe billions, you can't even count the billions of years of technology that, that they was experiencing this. He was experiencing this. They looking for it in the heavens now. Wherefore the spirit was to go, they went. Thither was their spirit to go, and the wheels were lifted up over against them, for the spirit of the living creature was in the wheel. Many seeing them wheels moving and then laying the gear moving and stuff. Man, he thinking that's a man of his own. Look, and when those went, and when those stood, and when those were lifted up from the earth, the wheels were lifted up over against them. For the spirit of the living creature was in the wheels. But many see they got to land with the wheels, they got to take off, and he seeing that wheel moving back and forth, that landing gear. He focusing on that. In the likeness of the firmament, look, in the likeness of the firmament above the heads of the living creatures was as the color of the terrible crystal. The terrible crystal. We understand that that's the cockpit, the glass. He would look at a glass window, a thick glass window. That was his best explanation. His best explanation. Men is a terrible crystal. He said a terrible crystal stretched over their heads. And under the firmament were their wings straight, the one toward the other. Each one had two, which was covered on the one side, and everyone had two, which were covered on the other side of their bodies. And when they went, I heard the noise of their wings like the noise of great waters. Man, they roared, as the voice of the Almighty, the voice of speech, as the noise of an host. And when they stood, they let down their wings. And there was a voice from the firmament that was over their heads when they stood and let it down their wings. And above the firmament that was over their head was the likeness of a throne, that's the appearance of a sapphire stone. And upon the likeness of the throne was the likeness of the appearance of a man above upon it. And I saw as the color of the ember, as the appearance of fire round about it, within it, and from the appearance of his loins even upward, and from the appearance of his loins even downward, I saw it was the appearance of fire, and it had brightness round about. That's probably his Almighty Yah suit or something. And as for the appearance of the bow that is in the cloud in the day of rain, see this is why the serpent people took the rainbow image and distorted it, because that's the serpent culture that they do, and they switching and they disrespecting Almighty Yah with it. Look, as for the appearance of the bow that is in the cloud in the day of rain, so was the appearance of the brightness round about. This was the appearance of the likeness of the glory of the Elohim. When I saw it, I fell upon my face, and I heard a voice of one that spake. Now, but you see, he say that a craft come out the heavens. There it is. They looking for crafts in the heavens and see them all the time getting down on them. But Almighty Yah said because we broke the covenant that he was going to go into his place to dwell until we realize what we did. And then after we realize what he did, then, you know what I'm saying, we can start to come back into our heritage and so forth. Let me see what Isaiah 8:17. Isaiah 8:17. All right, shalom, Israelites. I pray everybody understand this message and that I'm making sense to you. Let me see. All right, that'll be 8:17. 8:17. And I will wait upon the Elohim that hideth his face from the house of Jacob, and I will look for him. You know what I'm saying? But because Almighty Yah said that once we break covenant, that, you know what I'm saying, he was going to go into his hiding place until we realized what we did. And during that time that we out of covenant, the serpent done rose up and trying to do the thing to the earth. And we've been out of covenant a long time. So, we got to wake up, Israelites. We got to wake up. And Almighty Yah is physical, as I just showed. All right, Hebrews, a message from the Israelite Brotherhood. I pray that this video made some sense to you. Shalom. And I pray that the Israelite Brotherhood family is doing okay. And much love, Israelites. And I appreciate y'all's support. We in this together. We in this fight together. We in this fight together as Israelites.